9 days from Sardis to Susa. Persia's royal road turned distance into a schedule. Riders changed at fixed stations. Fresh horses waited. A sealed tablet kept moving while people rested. The rider does not slow because the system does not stop. This is logistics, not legend. The Angaros relay made time predictable. Governors acted because messages arrived on time. In the next minutes, we will trace the route, count the stations, see how Imperial Aramaic carried orders across many people, and look at who paid for the service. You will see how speed kept provinces obedient and why this road mattered more than spears. What you're hearing is not a myth of magical steeds. It is engineering of time. The Persians designed their courier system so that as many riders and horses as there were days in the journey stood ready at intervals, each responsible for a single day's ride. That is how you turn distance into a schedule. Herodotus admired it for good reason. He said nothing mortal ran swifter than these messengers. Contrivance, not miracle. System, not heroics. Darius I did not invent roads from nothing. He reorganized and guarded what earlier kingdoms built and made them keep time. Threads became a net. Put a pin at Sardis, in western Anatolia. Now drag another to Susa, the royal seat in today's Iran. Between them runs the royal road, the western spine of an Achaemenid network. It was not a single ruler straight highway. It was a managed corridor with guarded stopping places. Herodotus lists satrapal boundaries and royal stopping places along the way. The important feature is not paving. Many stretches were dirt or gravel, but predictable appointments at fixed intervals. You could plan on the next horse, the way you plan on sunrise. Here is how it worked up close. Every day's ride, you reach a station, a guarded rest house with fresh horses, fodder, water, and men who know exactly what to do. You dismount, hand over the sealed tablet, and another rider is already leaving by the time you catch your breath. No bivouac fires, no camp stories, just the rhythm of relays. The road was not just stones, it was a schedule, and schedules, kept across seasons, make law more frightening than spears. What traveled in that satchel? Orders to satraps, tallies of grain, names that meant taxes, reports of a flood, a fire, a harbor silting up, a border raid, sometimes a victory, sometimes a warning that would stop a rebellion before it began. The wax seal mattered, because the time behind it mattered. Break the schedule, and provinces slip. Keep it, and you move armies without moving them, because governors act on messages. How long could a human sustain this speed across a continent? Let us put numbers on the map. Herodotus counts stations and measures the long road in stadia. On foot, at an army pace, he reckons roughly 90 days from Sardis to Susa, about a season. With riders changing at the stations, months compress into days, not because a single man sprints the empire, but because time is sliced into shifts. The system moves the message. The person is replaceable. You will hear a bolder claim in later summaries. Some relays covered the Susa-Sardis span in about 9 days. Whether you accept that exact figure or not, the point stands. The Persians turned geography into a clock. What used to be the edge of the map became a handful of policy days. Open question: who paid for all this? We will come back to that. First, see the scale. This was not one line. It was a network. Archives from Persepolis mention a system called Piradazish, horse-changing couriers, carrying official packets and intelligence. The royal road plugged into arteries east toward Persepolis, and farther, and west toward Aegean ports. Stations were staffed, stockpiled, and audited. Riders bore the king's authority as much as his letters. The same pathway that moved orders moved news, and news keeps ambitious governors honest. If a satrap wavered, he knew the rider could reach Susa faster than his excuses. Security mattered. Herodotus describes royal gates, with guards at satrapal boundaries. Where the corridor met mountain passes or great rivers, The empire chose reliability over straightness. Think of the famous Cilician gates cutting through the Taurus, one of the few passes from the Anatolian plateau down to Cilicia. Routes varied by season and safety, but those choke points controlled the schedule. What language carried commands across dozens of peoples? Hold that. Answer soon. Back to mechanics. A day's ride was not poetry. It was standardization. Stations stood roughly a day apart because humans tire and horses blow out. By fixing the interval, the Persians made time predictable. Predictable time lets you commit to deadlines. Tax shipments by new moon, levy quotas by harvest, troop movements after winter. Without reliable time, an empire is a rumor. With it, a province is a calendar, names, and a creed. The Persians called the relay Piradazish, Greeks called the rider Angaros, and the service Angareia, compulsory state carriage. Centuries later, international law would still use right of Angary for temporary requisition in war. Herodotus' praise is famous. Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor night stops these couriers from completing their routes as swiftly as possible. That is not a slogan, it is a systems requirement. What about the roadbed itself? Parts were inherited, parts improved. Earlier, Assyrian and Lydian stretches fed into the Persian plan. Under Darius, the empire consolidated, guarded, and maintained a continuous line across mountains and rivers. The route did not always pick the shortest way. It picked the reliable one. Bridges where possible, fords where not, passes that winter could not close for long. The road was as much administration as surface. Now, a case where speed affected outcomes. During the Ionian Revolt of 499 to 494 BCE, Ionian Greeks rose against Persian rule. Persian response required coordination among multiple satrapies and the imperial fleet. Communication did not win battles by itself, but it helped assemble force, moving orders, money, and naval support to where they were needed. The revolt ended with Persian victory, culminating in the naval battle off Lade. Behind the scenes is exactly what the network was built to do: make a huge realm react in time. Here is the design choice that made scale work. The Persians separated the human journey from the message journey. A person needs rest, a message does not. By designing for the packet, not the rider, they built a road that outran armies and outthought opponents. The technology was not wheels or stone, it was workflow. Once you understand that, the empire's other projects make sense. They all shorten delay. Which language carried orders? Across the empire, local tongues thrived, but for administration, the state widely used imperial Aramaic. We see it in papyri from Egypt and in letters associated with the Achaemenid official Arshama. We see it in the Elephantine archive and in other provincial records. The language did not replace identities, it replaced confusion. When a courier handed a tablet to a scribe in a distant city, the words were legible to the bureaucracy. A road is only as fast as its reading. And who paid for it? Partly the king, partly you, if you lived there. Darius standardized coinage. The gold daric and silver siglos accepted along the routes for taxes, wages, and supplies. Merchants used the corridor too, which meant markets near stations and predictable tolls. The state could also compel transport as service, Angareia, when horses, drivers, or carts were needed for official loads. It was not free, it was funded, counted, and, when necessary, requisitioned. Money and obligation kept hooves moving. The network was not only land. Persian kings were obsessed with connections. Darius ordered a pontoon bridge across the Bosporus during his Scythian campaign. Strings of ships laced into a roadway. Xerxes famously bridged the Hellespont with boats for the invasion of Greece. Darius also had a canal dug to link the Nile to the Red Sea, commemorated with inscriptions. These projects do not sit on the royal road, yet they share its logic. Remove delay between places, and the empire becomes smaller. Think of the supplies behind the speed. Persepolis tablets record rations issued to travelers, workers, and officials, grain, wine, or beer allowances measured out at waypoints. A station keeper's job was not romance, it was inventory, fodder stockpiles, farriers, grooms, water points, firewood for night exchanges. The empire is not paying for the last horse in the chain, it is paying for the next one, the one not yet saddled. That is endurance logistics. Your success is always ahead of you. Against enemies abroad, speed works twice. First, you coordinate far-flung forces. Second, you frighten people who measure power in headcounts and bronze. Greeks did not only fear Persian chariots, they feared the sense that a decision made in Susa could touch Ionia now. And the legacy lasted. Later, Romans built the cursus publicus, a state courier system with way stations and official mounts. Centuries after that, the Mongol yam used relay posts and passes, with tablets of authority to claim fresh horses. Different empires, same answer to distance. Of course, nothing moves forever. Roads rut, governors slack, horses die, systems decay. The miracle is not that Persia made a fast road, it is that they kept it fast across a continent, across winters, across kings. So when you hear Royal Road, do not picture a single flawless highway stretching ruler straight. Picture a mesh, coastal spurs, mountain cuts, eastern branches. The brand is singular. The thing is plural. They laughed at roads until the mail outran their armies. They laughed at clerks until the receipts built war chests. They laughed at schedules until the calendar seized their border towns. Power is not the biggest army. It is the shortest delay. That is the lesson the riders teach, one handoff at a time. The people who paved the trick in stone, Roman roads that made legions arrive faster than news. Same weapon, different wrapper. Speed wins.